If you want to get rich fast, you're going to have to do something that other people are too scared to do, and you're going to have to take a little bit of risk. You have to understand that if you want that upside, there might come a downside, and you have to be okay with that. But this video is going to teach you how you could hedge that risk a little bit with these 5 rules that you need to do, and this is going to set you up for success in riskier investing. So let's define safe. Safe means protected from or not exposed to danger or risk, not likely to be harmed or lost. So when we're talking about our money here, we're trying to make this as safe as possible so that our money isn't harmed or lost. With this definition, the safest thing you could probably do is just put it in a savings account that has guaranteed returns. But is that the smartest? If we know inflation is eating at our money at statistically a 2%, but lately 3, 4, 5%, then we're guaranteed to be losing money every single year. So then let's define risk. Risk defined is expose someone or something valued to danger, harm, or loss. So what types of assets are considered risky? That would be the ones that are more volatile. In ETF investing, the growth style ETFs like VGT or SMH have swung upward crazy. But with crazy high swings up means the fund has the potential to do the same thing in the opposite direction. Funds that would be considered more safe would be more the value or dividend funds such as VYM and SCHD. They don't go too crazy up or too crazy down. And yes, there are different levels of riskier assets than others. But it ultimately comes down to you and your discernment and your discipline. So if you're going to invest in a riskier asset for that upside, you can do yourself a favor by making it so that you could be just a bit safer so that you could set yourself up for success. No matter what you invest in, you should adhere to these 5 rules. Number 1, never invest in something you don't understand. I've said it many times on this channel, but don't just take my word for it. Definitely don't take anyone else's word for it and then just go and invest without doing the research yourself. You need to understand not only what it is that you're investing in, but why are you investing in it? Because something could be awesome. It could be an amazing asset or a great stock or an amazing business opportunity. But if it fits in the same category that you already have in your portfolio and that's already overweighted, it's just not smart and it's adding risk to your portfolio. I love all the tech companies, things like Amazon and Microsoft and Google and Nvidia, but I'm not investing in each one of those individually. I am invested in Microsoft, but the reason why I'm not invested in all of those is because I'm already investing heavily in ETFs that are in the growth sector, and that would overweight my risk. Number 2, never invest money that you need in the next year or two. Sometimes I hear people say things like, I want to buy a house in a year or two, and so I'm going to put it in the stock market, let it grow, and then I'm going to have more money, and then I'll be able to put down a bigger down payment on the house. Well, yes, that would be awesome if that's the way it works, but the stock market works both ways. It could go up and it can go down. And if you're in something a little more volatile, like a growth fund, or in a riskier asset like Bitcoin or something else that's even more risky, it could go way up, but it could definitely go way down. And if you need that money next year and you need to count on it, I wouldn't be putting that into those places. Now, before I tell you the next 3, I want to thank and introduce the sponsor of this video, Delete Me. Did you know that your personal data is sold online by data brokers? You have the right to stay private and protect your personal data. My businesses are almost entirely online, and I work with very confidential things like bank sites and investing platforms, so I need this service more than ever. Delete Me is a hands-free subscription service that will remove your personal information that's being sold online. Delete Me's privacy experts remove your personal information, like phone number, address, and other private info from hundreds of data brokers all year long, and you get a privacy report in 7 days. I really like that customers can make custom removal requests. I also like that this company is headquartered here in the United States, which gives me extra peace of mind. We all do so much online these days, so it's just a very smart move to keep yourself protected. Get 20% off Delete Me US consumer plans when you go down to the link in my description, which is joindeleteme.com/professor, and use code PROFESSOR at checkout. Number 3, have an emergency fund. I like to have an emergency fund of at least 3 months of living expenses totally funded. Now, this is an emergency fund away from everything else. You never use this fund. It's literally just for emergencies. The biggest emergency that you could have is you lose a job and you don't have any income coming in, but you still owe bills. And if that's the case, you want to have those living expenses paid for so that while you're going to look for your job, you're not super stressed out and you're able to get a good job and not have to just take the first one that comes your way. At the very least, I recommend a 3-month emergency fund, but for most people, I say 6 months to even a year is where you're ultimately safest. And so if you're going to be investing in riskier options, with the possibility of that money dropping possibly, you just want to be safe in some place. Number 4, limit debt as much as possible. Now you should already be doing this and hopefully you have all your debt paid off, but if you don't, it's always a smart move to pay off debt first, especially high interest debt. If you have credit card debt and you're paying 18% in interest, you're rarely going to get that much percentage in the stock market or even in the crypto market. And so it's smart for you to pay down that debt first. You get a guaranteed 18% since you won't have to pay that. But even more than that, what I'm saying here is don't take on any more unnecessary debt. If you've decided that you're going to invest in something a little bit more risky, that's where your risk should be. You shouldn't then also add more risk to your life by taking on more debt and owing more. You're just going to be very stressed out. Number 5, don't trade or invest on margin. What this basically means is don't pull out a loan or don't take out a loan or use somebody else's money that you're going to have to pay back to invest with. This would be gambling, and this would be gambling with somebody else's money that you're going to owe. When it's your own money, say you've saved up $15,000 and you decide to throw it in on something very risky and you lose it. That's unfortunate. But if you were to take out a loan, you didn't have the money to start with. Now you put that $15,000 in, you lose it. Not only did you lose it, psychologically, that's going to be tough to live with. But then also you now have to pay that back, and you probably have to pay that back on interest. And this is just going to be very, very tough. So do not do that. There are multiple strategies and ways where you can take in the best portion of the upside. So taking in some growth ETFs and having that in your portfolio so that companies like Nvidia or Meta or Amazon, when they spike, you get those profits. But then also investing in dividend style companies or value style ETFs, things like SCHD and VYM, because then that's going to keep you from dropping too far down. So you're basically getting the highest highs and not hitting the lowest lows, while also getting a strong, solid foundation with the S&P 500. To learn more about how to do that in the 3-fund portfolio that I put together, watch this video now, or watch this video on how to keep going strong on your financial journey.